higher price points has a different responsibility. These are people who are expecting a different level of service. They're expecting a bigger picture conversation with their agent. So if you are going to try to get into the luxury market, you need to be ready to insert yourself into the world of those people. And you also need to be ready to speak to those people about things that don't involve just the comparable. If I had known that so many of the things that reality television made me do, I could have done on my own, I would have just done them before I was cast on television. But if you can find yourself a hype woman that will get you out there doing stuff that maybe you're not comfortable doing right now, it would be worth whatever cost it is, because that would change your life.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Light It Up podcast. If you're new to the channel and you want to know everything about making money in real estate, selling, sales skills, building your business, or investing, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know what makes our great guests so successful.
Yep, and we get people just like you reaching out every single day. So if you're new in the business or looking to grow, shoot us a text, a DM, or an email. Happy to help.
All right, guys, let's jump right into it. We're super excited about today's guest. We have with us here Kirsten Jordan. Kirsten, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. It's 95 degrees today.
And sunny.
And sunny. So
It is 95.
We're excited. We're excited to be in this air-conditioned studio. But thank you again for spending some time with us. We find lately it's been great to have our guests give a little bit of their own intro. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business and where you are today?
I should have a better elevator pitch than this, but my name is Kirsten Jordan. Some know me as KJ. I was on the television show $1 Million List in New York for season 9. And I'm a 15-year veteran of residential real estate sales. My team is 12, 13 people, depending on how you count the virtual assistant overseas. And we are crushing it this year, having a great year. I also have 3 children, and I've been doing a bunch of other like broadcast TV stuff, and just in general love all this thought leadership around agents getting out of their comfort zone and just crushing it in general.
Love that.
Love it.
Well, let's dig into that.
We just filmed another episode, and we asked the person to give I won't say who, but we asked them to give an intro, and I think it was like 7-8 minutes.
But it was a beautiful intro.
And what they started with, like,
right. I could go. I could keep going.
No, we like the
stuff. But, I mean, this is what we got. This is what you got.
But you answered everything. It was great.
All right, lightning round. Let's hit it, John.
We'll jump into this lightning round. All right, so I like this one. What are you most worried about with the next generation?
It's work ethic and expectations around what you're going to get at your different stages in your career. So I think the biggest disconnect right now is obviously, I worked for very little, very long hours, for very many years, and made, okay money, but not crazy money, especially in the beginning. And I think that a lot of people getting into the business just think they're going to be $1 million listing stars and, running to cash their checks on day one. And also, I think they also don't understand the pressure that the team leader's under.
Yeah.
At all.
It's funny because that was a red flag for us every time we interviewed people. If they said, I want to be like $1 million listings or like selling Sunset, we were like, get the hell out of here.
Selling Sunset's that's like a red flag where you're like, and you also want a therapist?
Yeah,
or
Yeah. Did you see the breakdown? I forget who did it. Somebody posted like how many deals those people actually did.
Yeah.
It was a lot of people got upset. But it was all generated from the MLS.
Yeah. Well, there's what you see and there's what's true. That's for sure. All right. What's the hardest decision you've ever had to make?
Every time I have to let somebody go, that's always a hard decision. Even though some of them are easier decisions than others, it's always a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Is your personality style like an amiable, analytical?
I mean, it depends on what scale we're talking. You've got I feel like attachment style, I'm avoidant in the world of attachment styles. And then as far as amiable. I think I'm a very, very high driver. Also amiable, but every day I get better at hard conversations.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I think her intro was a driver.
It was
a driver type intro. I think that's why I appreciated it, and that's probably why I should speed up my questions.
Yeah.
All right, I like this one. What's something you disagree with about the way that you were raised?
Oh, I mean, I think as a woman, it's really hard because I'm already such a different generation than my mother is, and I think, or was, and so being able to advocate for my own self-worth and my own even just being ballsy about actually charging maybe a real commission to a friend, or just charging your clients, what your time is actually worth, is something that I still grapple with, because it's not something that my family was able to do. They didn't, they're very worried about just in general billing. My mom's an interior designer, and so she's always had trouble with billing people for what she's actually done, and then setting up that structure. And I think that that's a really, really important thing to be able to learn how to do, because there's a lot of people out there that can't do that. And that was something that I still struggle with because of my upbringing.
Yeah, that's a common thing. What do you regret not doing when you were younger? I feel like these are all like drama, but these are random questions.
But all childhood based?
Yeah, all childhood based.
What do I regret not doing when I was younger? I mean, I guess I probably just regret not taking school a little bit more seriously. Ultimately, as much as I did okay in school, I did pretty well in high school, I did okay in college, but I never really took school very seriously. And actually, had I taken school a little bit more seriously in college and just kind of at least taken some business school courses, I think that would have been really, really fundamental for me, because now I'm not going to go back and take accounting. I'm not going to go back and do anything else. I'm going to read books. I'm going to do seminars, but I'm not going to go back and get my MBA.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit enough, whereas if I had learned when I was younger, some of these skills, the way that, people are trained maybe in their jobs, really, really good, skills, administrative skills, that kind of a thing, it would have served me, because now I'm too old to learn that stuff. And so, the gap between what I can do and then what I need someone else to do for me, just, it gets wider because of that.
Yeah, that's so true.
It is. If you could pick up a skill instantly, what would it be?
It would just definitely be another foreign language. I speak Italian fluently and I speak English fluently. And I think if I spoke Spanish, that would be really fun, or Portuguese, because I know Italian fluently. I know how fun it is to be able to live in another country and speak the language, because it's a totally different experience. And so if I could do that with another country like that, love all these other great countries. For me, it'd be definitely continental Europe, definitely a Latin country. That's fun stuff for me. Would gladly enjoy Spain more, would gladly enjoy South America more, would gladly enjoy, other places where they speak Portuguese, like Portugal and Brazil and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. There's, as of April 3rd of this year, there was something that happened monumental that's going to change the rest of our lives, I guess, for next 20 years in our business, especially. Do you guys know what that is?
I don't.
What's that?
So millennials have surpassed baby boomers, right? And the way that in which baby boomers make decisions is through human interaction, face to face. Millennials base everything off of what they see on their phones.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting, and it's great that we have you on here today, so you could share some of those things, because some people, I'm sure they'd be like, oh, well, KJ had, the TV show, this and the other, but you built a brand, right? More than anything else, that resonates. And that's something that no matter where you are, it's going to be in people's minds. Can you share a little bit more about building a brand and the importance of that and the impact it's had on your business?
It's funny because when people say I have this brand, it doesn't feel like I do that much right now. It feels like it's just me, and that we've just continued to put more of me out there, and then continued to go in the direction of what resonates with people about me. But I would say, as far as a brand, clearly my team has a real brand, and I have a brand in the sense of, the aesthetic that I like and the kind of person you're always going to get when you see me and when you're around me. And we've done everything we can to do the same with the team, where the team is an extension of me, quality people, people who do the right thing, hard workers, smart, people who, connect with people. I think that's something that not a lot of organizations want to single out as something that they need in their people. But I have real estate agents, and it's very important to me that they're knowable people and they're able to connect with other individuals. Yeah. So for me, the brand that I've created is what I see in myself, and also what I want to see in myself, and what I want the future to be for the people I work with and my business, right? And when I was casting a $1 million listing, I remember Ryan gave me some really good advice, which is that you need to focus on being the agent you want to be 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I've done with my personal brand, in the sense that, like, my Instagram, I think of myself as a thought leader, and I want more thought leadership. I'm not a Mel Robbins. I'm not any of these huge motivational speakers, but that's my biggest passion, is the thought leadership and kind of the motivational piece. And so that's what I've really dedicated my personal Instagram to. Whereas the team, we dedicate that to the real estate, to making sure that that's real estate focused. Right. And I think that's another thing that at one point that we decided to bifurcate. You can say that was a bad idea or a good idea, but ultimately I think that there are two businesses there, and there's two brands, and there's the brand of me and my human self and what people resonate with the most. And even just like the outfit of the day, I never thought that was something that was really going to hit it out of the park. Like, I've got friends messaging me being like, oh my God, I bought that dress from your outfit of the day, and like, it doesn't fit me the same, but I still like loved it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny. I can't even believe people care. And then when it comes to the team brand, it is the team, getting the team to do social, getting the team to put themselves out there on camera the way I've put myself out there. Yeah. And, really working to market properties as best as we possibly can and continue this forward trajectory with getting better listings, doing more volume, the marketing that we've been doing. So I'd say, long story short, would be, I think that everybody needs a brand, of course. And I think that the reason you need this branding is just to give yourself direction, because there's so many decisions that you need to make when you're doing your marketing. And if you can at least say, these are my brand pillars, it just gives you direction. So you can say, no, we're not going to do that. That doesn't fall in line with our brand pillars. No, we're not going to do that, because that's outside of the brand. We don't do things like that. Yeah. And with our team brand, what we've done is we also have, we have core values for the team. And so one of the core values is always do the right thing. Another one is teamwork makes the dream work. Another one is always be funneling. And then there's a couple of others, but what we do then is we use those to decide if people within the organization are up to the team standards. Yep. Because if they're not creating raving fans, if they're not always funneling, if they're not doing the right thing, then it's like, hey, listen, something about this doesn't feel right. There's these things that you did that aren't okay, but ultimately the reason that it doesn't work for you to be part of this organization is because you're not following the core values. Yeah. And if you don't fit within that, there's no reason for you to be here. Yeah. And so I think that kind of branding ultimately is deciding that you're going to pick a direction. Yeah. And if you can just pick the direction, it makes a really, really big difference.
Yeah. Staying on the same vein, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently, or what would you do if you had to go back before Bravo casted you on the $1 million listings?
I would have probably started my own team earlier. I would have gotten an assistant earlier. I would have leveraged myself earlier. I probably would have gotten better coaching early in my career, even if it was just life coaching, to have more self-confidence and more self-worth. Yeah. I think that training is probably the most important. The business coaching is extremely important, but if you don't have the self-worth, the business training won't do anything for you.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's good.
Talk to us about those. I'm going to take a step back. Like, you were talking about the brand pillars. What are the brand pillars within your team, within your brand?
So we have core values for the team, which is this idea of, all the different things I listed, like, the different attributes of team members. And then as far as brand pillars are concerned, it's funny, we're redoing them right now. And it's like, if I could put the essence of my team into like a bucket of a couple of attributes, it's this idea of it being concierge level service, super, super highly intelligent people who are more interested in the relationship than they are in the deal. And then just this extremely high touch experience in tandem with extremely, no stone unturned marketing to be able to get properties sold or to find opportunities for buyers. And then, of course, we have an incredible team of vendors that we work with, and we have great relationships. And every time you talk to somebody on the team, it's a quality experience. But that's really the brand for us, is this like high touch, high intelligence. Of course, sleek branding is super important, but for what you want to transmit to buyers and sellers in the business right now is that there's going to be this consistency so that they know why they called you. And we recently had a seller who said that they didn't we have some pink in our branding, which I'm not wild about right now, but we had done it because it was kind of carried over. Yeah. And he didn't like that about the branding. And so we were actually able to overcome that objection with breaking down what he needed and finding a way to fit that within the brand that we have. Because of the fact that sometimes people, they look at what you've done as far as branding and they're like, oh, I like that, but that's not totally me. And the truth is that everybody has their people. And I think that's why this industry attracts so many eccentric individuals, is because there's just, everybody has their people.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. There's a book, it was talking about like a Ritz-Carlton kind of service to be provided in different industries. So it's like, in essence, you're trying to provide a similar kind of experience for someone to come in that they can rely on more than anything else.
Yes. You want people to be able to rely on you, and you also want them to feel like they know what they're getting. And then when they leave the experience of working with the team, that they got exactly the same experience working with the team that they thought they were going to get.
Yeah.
How do you convey that experience to somebody before they become an actual client? How do you present that to people?
I mean, I think with a lot of this stuff, there's of course needs to be the marketing collateral that exists, whether it's your digital presence, which is super important. I mean, digital presence is everything right now. And then of course it's that, it's being able to speak to people, even if, millennials are, not making decisions based on their interactions with people. Ultimately, like the buyers out there, I find that converting them in a short window of time is super, super important.
Yeah.
And then delivering what they're expecting and what they're asking for.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting to me, you're talking about like the struggle with self-confidence and like that aspect of it, but your price points that you deal with are significantly higher, right? And it's for an agent who's dealing in an area where there's millions, $2 million, $3 million properties, and then $300,000 properties. There's almost like that self-belief that you can deal with the lower price points a lot easier than you can with the higher price points, because you need to be a different caliber of a person. Can you share or comment
people
on that?
think they need to be a different caliber?
Yeah. Can you share anything on that?
I definitely think that working with higher price points has a different responsibility. Ultimately, these are people who are expecting a different level of service. They're expecting a bigger picture conversation with their agent, in the sense that they're kind of like, expecting you to be able to speak about other parts of the market, not just focus on the comps. Like I try to explain this to my agents. You never want to go into a pitch for a high price listing, anything over $2 to $3 million. I think you could potentially expect that you're going to meet somebody who wants to speak about the broader market conditions, what's going on geopolitically and how that's affecting the economy, and what's going to happen to overall home prices in general, where you see demand going, talk about so it's not just about like your home is worth X because of the fact that these other homes sold for Y. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that goes with showing somebody an Excel spreadsheet when you're pricing their home. Like these comparable market analysis that don't have any soul in them, like that's not going to fly in the high-end market. Yeah. People don't want their home to be a data point on a spreadsheet. They're expecting something that's more than that. So yes, if you are going to try to get into the luxury market, you need to be ready to insert yourself into the world of those people. And you also need to be ready to speak to those people about things that don't involve just the comps. Yeah. You need to be ready for every other piece of that. And then there's also the concierge level service.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. There's a different quality of a conversation when you're looking at the macro look of the marketplace and a micro look at the marketplace. So that way they can get an essence of, even when you're negotiating an offer, like what's the other party going through, what's happening in the macro market, so that they can be pushed one way or another to make a decision.
Yeah.
No, that's good. What are some things that you would advise someone who wants to get into like the new construction space? Because you've been fortunate enough to be able to sell out buildings and stuff like that. How does someone acquire a developer or do that?
I think that the first developer client that you get is either going to be somebody that you've done a bunch of free work for a while, like you've helped them price things, you've helped them find opportunities, you have been the one that said, don't buy this site because I don't think it's going to make sense financially. There's a lot more before you get a builder that goes into the relationship. I mean, there's a lot more for a lot of sales. Clearly, there's a lot that goes into relationships before sales in general. I think in most cases, yes, of course, you can meet cold leads and you can convert them and you can sell them stuff very, very quickly. But the builder relationship is one where they're expecting inherent value like very well before they've even bought the land. Or the other way to think about getting in with builders is to sell their product and be the ambassador for their product. So if you say, listen, I really love this particular project you've done on, Main Street, and I've brought 7 buyers, I've transacted 5 of them. I believe in your product. Maybe you haven't done a building before ever, maybe you haven't done a new construction project ever before, but because you've brought all that interest and you've been an ambassador, that's another way to get yourself in the door, in my opinion.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I think it's not only important that you bring that value from the beginning, but it's almost mandatory. You know what I mean? To make yourself stand out from the other agents that are trying to get that building, right? You have to be involved and you have to be willing to work for free. Unfortunately, that's a huge part of this business. Right?
Free real estate advice for a developer is like a given. There's just these are people who their whole income relies on timing the market. They're literally legalized gamblers. And you need to be able to give them the kind of advice that they need to be able to make a calculated risk decision, right? Yep. With a lot of the time, other people's money.
Yeah.
And so, their entire reputation and income relies on you helping them make this kind of a decision, unless they're buying it and holding it. In that case, it's very hard for you to lose when they're going to buy it and do the construction and then flip it and sell them one by one. You're a huge part of that decision. And so that advice and you then proving yourself and being able to see the future, so to speak, help them with pricing and what that needs to look like is that's how you get the job, basically. Yeah. And it might mean pricing stuff for them a lot of times and not getting the project and then eventually getting it.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I literally am representing the developer on rentals right now for a building that's in Soho. And I have a connection to the developer, a very strong connection to the developer. They've worked with almost every top agent in the city in some form. And, finally I was in their office and I said, and they asked me what I thought the building would rent for, each unit would rent for. And I had already done a pro forma because of the fact that I'd worked with a buyer that was an investor. So I'd already done a pro forma on the building and I was already prepared to literally off the top of my head say, oh, this is what these rent for. I guarantee they'll rent for this. And I literally put my hand on fire and would guarantee this. And they're like, all right, okay, you've got it. It's yours. Wow. I've been chasing them for years.
Yeah.
And it was just, but it's and we rented, we got 4 units to rent. We rented 3 out of the 4 in a month at the numbers that we promised. So now, hey, we'll see. Maybe they'll give us other business, but maybe they won't because you know what? A lot of the time they're not even very nice people. So you just take what you can get. But loyalty is not going to be what you can expect from these developers either.
Yeah. No, it's a calculated risk and a calculated decision. No emotions attached to it for sure. The going into some of the things that you preach a lot is being able to portray your personality on camera and teaching people to do that. Any tips and tricks for someone who's learning to get better?
Practice, get an accountability partner, learn how you look good on camera. Like a day like today, somehow I don't have a ring light with me because I'm in my house in Westchester, but learn how you look good on camera, learn how your makeup looks good on camera for a woman, just even for a man, if you need to fill in your eyebrows, whatever it takes to make yourself feel you look good. That's going to be a big part of it. Practice, get an accountability partner, do it over and over again. And then don't take yourself so seriously.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, people think that people care. I mean, I put up stupid stuff all the time that I'm I can't believe we shot this in 3 minutes, but whatever, and some of that stuff is the stuff that does the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you become numb to it too.
You have to become a little bit numb. You have to become a little numb to content creation and the fact that it's never going to be perfect.
Right. I remember the first, like we're on, this is probably the 100th something episode that we've filmed.
Yeah.
We've released 75 of them or so. But I remember when we were first filming the first like 3 or 4.
He was wasted.
I had like 3 or 4 cocktails before, and just because I was so nervous about what I was going to say, and did I look okay? Was I sweating and whatever? And now we're just like, like you ran from the police and you just showed up here, and
I was like, okay, I'm ready to go.
we popped
just
in.
knocking on the door. It's no big deal.
Yeah,
it's definitely another skill set to learn. But although having these kind of conversations virtually, not in person, you get used to it over a period of time. Being in front of a camera alone in a room and recording something is a completely different skill, and that's so much harder, in my opinion, to get used to.
Yeah, but that's where I say you don't have to do that. You can do it. You can get a friend. You can offer them like drinks. They can drink while they watch you. You could drink and they could drink, and you could do it at the same time. I mean, whatever it takes, just to break the seal on giving it a try.
Yeah.
What was the number one reason you think Bravo wanted you to be on that season?
This is so funny. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that they thought I had the real estate integrity and intelligence, in addition to the fact that I was able to be on camera and I had a sense of humor. I think that's what ultimately got me the position, got me the gig. I know this sounds like a very self-deprecating, and I think there's probably a role in reality television where I kick it out of the park. I don't know if like conflict-based or that particular structure of reality television is probably like my forte long-term. Right now there's like various production companies that are casting for other reality television shows that have to do with real estate right now. And I'm aware of the fact that they're casting because of the fact that, I know other agents who are speaking to these people. And you want to know how many calls I'm getting right now on that?
How many?
Because I'm actually not cut out for drama reality television. I'm a normal freaking girl that like has 3 kids and is just too freaking square for that stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually think that maybe I'd be a good judge. Maybe I'd be great I love the broadcast television stuff, but I think long-term, the like cameras hanging around me while I'm doing my regular life and me being able to create conflict with others to be able to make things interesting, probably just isn't my long-term, just going to be like a long-term gig for me. It was a great experience. I loved it. And I think it like changed my life. And I'm so glad I have it as a souvenir, just as like an experience. And I'm so glad that it pushed me out of my comfort zone and it made me change my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's sad that, but that's like
drama sells.
That's drama sells. I mean, that's what these,
listen, if you watch, I actually haven't watched every episode of myself, and this summer I was going to sit and kind of binge it. And I think it was just hard. It was just, also your first season is just hard. I mean, it's just tough. It's tough. So who knows, but that's the story.
I love that. It's there's no bet that we'll see you on a selling Empire State anytime soon. That's for sure.
They're not even calling me. Like it's like hilarious. Like I think I actually want to do. I have to do like a little reel that's like how I brought down an entire franchise of reality television. And I'm joking, but like I do think that there's somebody has to say it because nobody's ever said it to me, and everybody like is like, we loved you, you're the best, and you're great, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, but did you? I think you did, but I don't think you were actually hoping I would do another season of me, because I think everybody was kind of like, yawn. Just kind of
fight with somebody, woman.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think you needed more haters.
Yeah, right.
I needed to do but that was the thing. I wasn't ready to be hated yet. Like I wasn't ready. There's like so much of that I realize now, if I were to do it, I would care so much less about the conflict. I would care so much less about what other people thought of me, that I probably would be more entertaining. But it does take a long time to film what they get out of the show. So I don't know if I would be ready to throw myself back into filming that long of hours while still running a team and all the rest of it. Yeah.
There's a big sacrifice you have to make for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what are 1 or 2 things that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Well, like I said, if I had known that so many of the things that reality television made me do, I could have done on my own, I would have just done them before I was cast on television. And I was waiting for validation from Bravo or from some other larger entity to be to like change my life. And I definitely didn't need that validation. I just needed to give it to myself. But if you can find yourself a hype woman or a hype man that will get you out there doing stuff that maybe you're not comfortable doing right now, I highly recommend it. It would be worth whatever cost it is, because that would change your life.
That's good advice.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
If anybody wants to reach out, collaborate with you, work with you, send you a referral, what's the best way for them to reach you?
I am on my Instagram all the time, which is Kirsten.Jordan. I also have a website, which is KirstenJordan.com. It's going through an entire overhaul, but it still looks pretty cute. And then, of course, we have the Kirsten Jordan Team website, which is thekirstenjordanteam.com.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll have to hang out with you guys in Hoboken at some point. Or
Absolutely.
It's so beautiful over there. I was just there with a developer recently, actually, speaking of. So we should talk about that.
Awesome.
Love to.
All right. Thanks, guys.